Oh, hi. I've been thinking about this comparative advantage thing I mentioned in that last episode, as regards to the homeless, because it appears as though the poor we always have with us. A great man once said that. The poor you will always have with you. And so okay, I got to stop for just a little bit. Indulge me, please. Because the last time I used that quote, the poor you always have with you, I actually identified who the source of it was. And it was Jesus of Nazareth. Well, I got an interesting note back when I actually attributed the quote to somebody, and I'm going to share it with you just so you know what I'm talking about. Here's what a thoughtful lady said about my use of the actual quote and its attribution. Not everyone will even read a comment about any issue when the comment starts right off with the word Jesus in their face. Whoa. And then she finishes with, you certainly have the right to include religious references in your post if you wish. I just won't read it. My guess is this lady would regard herself in most circumstances as eminently open-minded. It would just appear not so much in this case. So, I don't want you to stop listening. So it was a great man, or maybe an influential historical figure. Or, if it makes you happy, Mahatma Gandhi once said, the poor you always have with you. But here's the point. We have demonstrated empirically that it's true. Because no matter how many times we move tent cities and tarps and all, we clear them out, we clean out the space, we do a sweep, is what we call them, it appears that the poor are still there. We really do always have them with us. And so that's where this comparative advantage thing came from. Is there a better way? And I suggested mats, minimally adequate transitional shelters, basically hard-walled tents. And as I was thinking about whether or not that was a better idea, maybe not a good one, but at least a better one, I have to conclude, I really think it is. First off, with regard to the homeless, a hard-walled structure that is made out of wood instead of cloth has to be an improvement when it comes to staying in out of the weather. We get some windy, rainy, nasty days here in the Portland area, and I would think being in a hard-walled structure, even if it isn't luxurious, is an improvement in the plus column for somebody that's living without a real roof over their heads. So I think that has to be a win for the homeless. Now, the second thing that I was thinking about is it's a little bit more secure. A tent is not a terribly secure location. Now, I have to admit, a hard-walled tent isn't going to be a lot more secure. This is not going to be Fort Knox, after all. But it has to be a little more secure than just a less than a millimeter of cloth between you and the outside world. Moreover, there will be a place inside, presumably, where you can store at least some stuff. Can't be a lot of stuff. There's not that much space, but a little. That has to be a little bit more secure. That has to be in the plus column for somebody that's homeless and without a roof over their heads. Now, a third thing that's in the plus column, not only for the homeless, but I think for the rest of us, that is, to have them in designated locations means that you don't have to worry about the police or the county coming by and sweeping you out so that you have to move along. You can actually put down roots just long enough to perhaps think about what your next move is going to be relative to what you're going to do with your life. So, not only that, I think it's a benefit for the rest of us to know where these camps are. Right now, a randomly formed tent city could pop up down the block from you. What a surprise. If they were in designated areas, at least we wouldn't have to worry about that problem. Now, the advantage, of course, that not having to move from place to place at random when you get swept, that's got to be in the plus column for the homeless. But for the rest of us, we know where the villages are so they can be better supervised. The police will know where they are. Other people, the neighbors, will know where they are to be able to look, to watch them and supervise a little better what goes on in them, rather than have to wonder where they're going to pop up next. Now, another good reason to have them in a designated location is it will be easier for social services to be made available to people who are there. One of the problems that social service agencies have reported is that they can hardly be consistent in providing social services to a homeless person if they don't know where the homeless person has been swept off to from day to day. If you're trying to help a person with a mental issue with their meds, how in the world are you going to deal with that if you don't know where they are from day to day? The same thing is true if you're trying to help somebody with a health issue. If you can't depend on where they are, that's going to be a problem. And finally, there is this issue of a mailing address. You know, I'm told that one of the problems with people getting a job is that they don't have a mailing address. I wonder if a designated area could provide a mailing address for some of these people. That's something that's worth thinking about. So anyway, those are some thoughts. I think we've got some plus column wins here for the MATS villages. But now the question is, where are we going to put them? Hey, I gotta think about that.